If I had to compare the art of a cinematography to the art of a painter, I would say that your scene or your stage is your canvas, and the camera sensor is the artist's palette where the paints go, and your lights are your paints. The tools that you use to shape and modify your lights are the actual paint brushes, right? Because when I was first starting out, I thought, I just need to get the best camera that I can afford. And then it was, now I need to get the best lenses or the most unique lenses that I can afford. And then it was, I need to get as many huge light sources that I can afford. And then even after you have all three of those elements, you have your camera, you have your lenses, you have your lights, and then you're like, why does my stuff still look like crap? What separates the stuff that looks really good from the stuff that looks like crap is the tools being used to shape and modify the light that you have. I'm gonna show you guys some very affordable things that you can use to start shaping and modifying your light, whether you're outdoors, indoors, whether you're using big $1,000 lights, or whether you're using just one little crappy LED panel. Just a few little tools to modify that light, just to tweak it a little bit, just to stop some spill from going on your background. Whatever it is really gonna help you stand out, and that's what's really gonna help you create an image that's gonna separate you from the rest of the pack. Nobody asked me to make this video. This is just me sharing information, sharing the tools that I use, okay? That's all this is. So don't think this is sponsored by anybody, because it's not. The first thing I wanna talk about is kind of a more expensive option, but I use it quite frequently. I actually am using it right now. I'm using this little cutter above me to block the spill from this china ball from landing on the back wall. This is the Wescott Fast Flags kit. We're gonna talk about the negatives and the positives super quick. One, what I love about it, it's super portable, right? It comes with 4 flags. You get 1 black, 1 silk, 1 full grid, 1 half grid. If you don't know what full and half grids are, the full grid stops down your source by 1 full stop, and the half grid stops down your source by 1 half stop. And it comes with 2 little fold out frames. The biggest downside of the Wescott Fast Flags kit is the fact that they're so tiny. They're just little baby little frames. I actually have 2 of the black negs because it only comes with 1, and I bought an optional additional one. It's more a bit on the expensive end, but it is super portable and compact. The next thing is something I made a video about already. It's just this thing you can find on eBay. It is a half a foot wider and a whole foot longer than the Wescott Fast Flags. And it has this nice little plug to put into your C-stand, which is also another selling point. You can take this off, and then you have a big, nice empty frame, and you can put a sheet of diffusion, put whatever you want in there. So you essentially have a really cool little frame. Okay, so here's a demonstration of how I combined the scraps of Duveytn with the actual cheap $30 frame that I already had. You know, it comes with this amount of negative fill already. And let's say you're on a shoot here and there is just not enough room to black out, right? You want to go all the way to the floor. So it's pretty simple. I've just attached the Duveytn with some clamps, and right here I can pull these, and then boom, my Duveytn drops down, and now I've essentially built myself my own little floppy. Next thing I want to talk about is something that you can just find from your local fabric store, like a Joann's. As you see here in this setup on this china ball, I have it wrapped up in a piece of unbleached muslin. Now there's 2 different kinds of muslin. You can get this unbleached here, or you can get the bleached muslin. And it's essentially just a big white sheet. So if you have a big white sheet, you can start using your bleached muslin right away. And a lot of times what you'll see people using this bleached muslin for is for creating book lights. Here is the LED just bouncing off of the silver reflector there. And now I'm gonna fly up the bleached muslin to build the book light with the bleached muslin. Up here in this example, I'm using the unbleached muslin. It's gonna make your scene a little bit warmer without completely changing it to a complete tungsten-y look. You'll see here in this example how I was able to just very ever so slightly change the color temperature with the unbleached muslin. It also cuts down the light, just much like the bleached muslin. You lose a stop or so of light, but it's helping really spread it around. What's great about these rags is that you can just wrap them around anything. I can stretch them over a frame, or I can just wrap them around something, or you can just hang them and shoot light through. You know, there's lots of different options. And these rags are super, super cheap. You can just go to your local fabric store, and these are just a couple dollars a piece. You're gonna spend under $5 for a yard of this stuff, and 1 yard goes a very long ways. Next little thing you can do, if you can't afford like a big, nice actual frame that's made for your C-stand, you could order one of these. Now, this is a very poor man's option here. This is just a big frame for a screen. I went a little overboard and bought a really big one. This is a 4x4, so this is a huge frame, but as you'll see here in this example, I was using it to create my own DIY butterfly grid, and essentially what that is, it's something you can use outdoors if you really need to cut down the sunlight in an exterior day shot. So you can put anything on this frame. You can put full diffusion, half diffusion. What I ended up putting in it was a full grid. And the full grid is really nice. It's thicker than diffusion. It cuts the light a little bit better. So it's for really heavy duty sunlight, really cutting that down, as you'll see in this example. Now, while we're on the topic of it, I'm gonna show you some different kinds of diffusion you can use. There is the 250, which is the half diffusion. So it's gonna cut down your light, you know, only by half. And then there is the 216, which is your full diffusion, which cuts it down, you know, a full stop. So there are two different kinds of diffusion. These I picked up from a guy here in LA. He's up in the valley. He's called the Expendables Recycler. Really, really dirt cheap. He cut me off a few scraps of these, and it's just, you know, like 10 bucks or something. So if you live in LA, you can check him out. Again, this video is not sponsored by anybody. But however, if you're not in the LA area and you're just looking to find some sheets, some big nice sheets of diffusion for your lights, or just to hang off of something, or to put in a little DIY frame, then I found some pretty nice options on Amazon, and I'll put all the links down in the description below. Black wrap is another great option to have. This is just a little piece, but they come in rolls, and it's reusable. That's the greatest thing about black wrap. And essentially what you do this, you can do a lot of stuff with this. You can block the light, you can make, like for instance in this example, you'll see my LED panel doesn't have barn doors. Well, with black wrap, any light can have barn doors. You see me using this all the time in my lighting tutorials. You know, I'll use it to flag off light or spill or anything like that. I mean, this is very inexpensive too. Some other cool options, and this is something I bought very early on. As you know, the 5-in-1 reflectors are very cool. I have little handheld ones, but this one is probably my favorite and the one I use the most. When you unzip this thing, what's inside is a big, nice diffusion. So you can use this a lot outdoors to cut down the light, or, you know, to make a little book light for. Now this thing is super inexpensive, super portable, and it's very large, and that's one of the great selling points. So realistically, you could just get 2 of these and you might do fine with just the 2 of them. You know, especially considering these are only like $25, $30 a piece. And if you have a C-stand or 2, you can literally just, you know, squeeze them into the C-stand and just let it hang, or whatever you want to do. Another thing that I have, this is a gigantic Pop Out Diffusion. Really, really super huge. And this actually is a lot better of an option than this, you know, DIY kind of frame building out of a screen. You can just use this bad boy and big, nice, huge, gigantic piece of diffusion. I wanted to show you guys this I recently found. I picked this up. Like if you have a piece of beadboard, I use this beadboard all the time too. And this is mainly, you can use this to really bounce light with the shiny silver side if you really need to get a really nice bounce light if you're shooting outdoors, or you can flip it around the white side and you can use that white side to really create a really awesome book light, because it provides a really hard white bounce to just bounce back through your muslin or your diffusion or whatever you're creating your book light with. But a lot of the times it's hard to get a good deal on what they call a duck clamp. Or those are even hard to find if you don't live in like a very industrial area. So I found this online, and this is pretty unique actually. This can go on the top of your C-stand or your light stand if you have a good sturdy light stand, and it's completely rotatable here. As you'll see, this thing flips around like this. You can tighten that down. Then the actual duckbill clamp swivels around. You can get that where you want it, and then you can tighten that down. So for instance, if this was on my stand here, I could go like this, and then we could tighten that down. I could twirl this around however I wanted it, and now it could sit like that, right? And then you can just open it up, and there you have a super affordable, pretty versatile duct clamp. Again, don't know the makers of this, nobody's sponsoring this video, but I'm just sharing some little bit of info. And this is great to hold frames, whatever, you know, even those big diffusions, you know, you got one of those big 3x5 pop outs, this is gonna clamp perfectly well. It's a lot quicker than unscrewing the C-stand head and then putting it in. So this will be great. This is another great little 5-in-1 holder. You know, you screw it on the top of your C-stand or your light stand, and then you just pull this back, and you just hold your diffusion, and there you go. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is this. I've had this for like 2 years. This is the Lee Filters lighting pack, the quick location lighting pack. And there are so many great gels. If you're starting out, and these are perfect size for if you just have like a little LED kit, or even if you have like the Aperture 120D or even the 300D, if you have those kind of lights, these gels and things are gonna fit perfectly over those lights. And it just has a great collection of stuff if you're first starting out. It's got the full CTBs, the half CTBs, full CTO, half CTO, diffusions, full diffusions, half diffusions. It's even got a 0.6 ND in here. It's got all your party gels. And the coolest thing, it even has one piece of black wrap and one Lee scrim in here. So it has lots of cool options. It's even got the frost in here, so you can get a nice daylight frost. It's just great, and it's pretty inexpensive. You know, it's only like $50 for this, but I use it on almost every single shoot. Now what I want to do is show you guys some things you can do if you don't even have a whole lot of big expensive lights. A lot of these tests, I literally only use this one light. This is just a little very inexpensive LED panel. I wanted to show you guys the behind the scenes on this shot here. Here is the black magic here in all of its glory. Okay, so then you'll see what I got going on here. Again, big thing of 250, which is the half diffusion, and I just have it clamped onto the C-stand, just hanging since we're indoors. And behind that, we have the little tiny aperture panel, and there it is. And then you'll see the black flag was put there to basically stop the spill. You see that huge black, I put that up to stop any spill from hitting the background on our friend. But I did cheat, and I incorporated one extra little light, one of those little $20 fake baby quasar tubes, and I put black wrap on it so it would not hit our it wasn't contaminating our friend's face. It was only separating her from the background. And yeah, and then I cheated again and used another little baby one just for a little tiny eye light. But I was way back here and just providing a little bit of eye light, which you'll see in the demo. So now what you're looking at is the negative fill is no longer there, and you can see all that contamination on the back wall behind her. But now, if we want to make her really pop out from that wall, that's when we introduce the flag. So okay, so there's just the backlight. Here comes the eye light. That's with the eye light right there. Key light. So there you go, guys. Just some options for you to start thinking about what you can get, what you can use to start shaping and modifying your light. And really, once you start doing that, what I'm finding out is that the possibilities are endless. Literally, with one light, you can do so much more if you just start spreading it around, diffusing it, making book lights, flagging it off. You can start painting your scene. So as always, thanks for watching. Big shout out and thank you to all of my loyal subscribers. And I do mean that. And for now, that's a wrap.